Feudalism. Feudalism was one of the earliest structured economic systems, and it dominated Europe during the Middle Ages. Imagine being born in a small village. You don't choose your job, you're born into it. If your parents were peasants, you'll be one too. You work the fields, give part of your harvest to the local lord, and in return, you're allowed to live on his land. It's basically a subscription service for survival. You pay in crops instead of cash. Your lord, in turn, pledges loyalty to a king who owns huge territories. Protection comes in the form of knights, castles, and walls, but freedom, not so much. Climbing the social ladder was almost impossible. Europe wasn't the only place with this system. In Japan, peasants worked under samurai who answered to powerful shoguns. Feudalism shaped whole cultures for centuries. It was stable, but rigid, like being stuck in a video game level you can never upgrade from. Mercantilism. Jump ahead to the 1500s and 1600s when ships start crossing oceans. Here comes mercantilism, the engine behind empires. The idea was simple. The more gold and silver your nation stockpiles, the richer and stronger you are. So countries like Spain, Britain, and France built colonies to funnel resources back home. Colonies sent cotton, sugar, or spices, and the empire sent back finished goods at much higher prices. If you lived in a colony, this meant strict rules. You couldn't just trade freely with neighbors. You had to sell to the empire. Imagine growing coffee but being forced to sell it for cheap, then buying back expensive cups of it from overseas. Day-to-day life under mercantilism meant working hard but watching most profits leave your shores. For Europeans, it built wealth, navies, and merchant classes. For colonized people, it meant exploitation. The echoes of mercantilism still exist today in tariffs, subsidies, and trade wars. Corporatism. Corporatism is one of the lesser-known systems. Don't think Apple or Amazon here. This isn't about corporations. In corporatism, the state organizes society into groups: business owners, workers, and the government. Each group has a role, and the idea is they'll cooperate instead of fighting. It's like the government saying, okay, you're the forwards, you're the defenders, you're the goalkeeper, play nice. In theory, it reduces conflict. In practice, it often meant the government called the shots. Mussolini's Italy in the 20th century is the most famous example. Businesses existed, unions existed, but the state told them what they could do. Everyday people might have had a job, but little freedom to challenge unfair policies. Today, you can still see bits of corporatism in countries where governments strongly coordinate with unions and industries, sometimes reducing strikes but also limiting independence. Anarchism and cooperative economies. Now let's flip it upside down. Imagine a town with no central government bossing people around. Instead, the local bakery, farm, and factory are run by the people who work there. Everyone has a say and profits are shared. That's the basic idea. During the Spanish Civil War in the 1930s, some regions in Catalonia tried this. Farmers pooled land, workers took over factories, and decisions were made collectively. It wasn't chaos, it was self-management. Day to day, it might feel like shopping at a local co-op where the people behind the counter are also the owners. In modern times, worker cooperatives, credit unions, and even open-source software communities carry that spirit. If you've ever contributed to Wikipedia, you've lived a little piece of cooperative economics. Communism. Communism is built on Karl Marx's vision of a classless society. No private property, no bosses, no rich or poor. In theory, everyone contributes according to ability and receives according to need. Sounds simple. In practice, it turned into something much different. In the Soviet Union, China under Mao, or North Korea today, the state controlled everything: farms, factories, even housing. Day-to-day life meant being assigned a job, living in government apartments, and often waiting in long lines for basic goods. On the upside, education and employment were guaranteed. On the downside, personal choice was limited, and shortages were common. Imagine going to a store and finding only one brand of shoes, all in the same size. That was communism in practice. While pure communism remains rare, its influence on world politics has been massive. Socialism. Socialism sits between communism and capitalism. It doesn't erase markets, but it puts big industries under public control. Think healthcare, energy, or transportation. The goal is fairness. Nobody should be denied basic needs because of money. Cuba is a classic example with free healthcare and education. Venezuela nationalized its oil industry. For ordinary people, socialism often means you don't pay directly for services like a doctor's visit or university, but you may face fewer options or slower services. In democratic socialism, like in some European countries, people still vote for leaders, but the state takes a larger role in reducing inequality. Think of it as capitalism with strong guardrails. State capitalism. State capitalism is like capitalism with a government twist, but it's not the same as socialism. In socialism, the state owns industries to make society more equal and to provide basic needs for everyone. In state capitalism, the government owns industries mainly to gain profit, power, and global influence. Private businesses exist. You can open a restaurant, launch a clothing brand, or even start a tech company. But banks, railways, oil, and energy, those stay under tight state control. The government acts almost like the biggest corporation in the country. For day-to-day life, you still enjoy the benefits of a market economy. You shop, invest, and innovate freely, but the state decides the overall direction, where investment flows, which industries boom, and how fast the country develops. That's why you see high-speed trains, new megacities, and massive tech sectors in countries like China. Russia does something similar with its oil and gas industries. Even Singapore mixes free enterprise with heavy government oversight, which is why it's often described as state capitalist. Nordic model. The Nordic model is one of the most admired today. Countries like Sweden, Norway, and Denmark run free markets but combine them with strong welfare states. The trade-off is simple: high taxes for high security. Day to day, this means if you lose your job, you won't fall into poverty. Healthcare is free, universities are tuition-free, and parents get long-paid leave when they have children. You still have private companies and innovation, but the safety net is strong. Imagine paying higher taxes but never worrying about a hospital bill or student debt. That's the Nordic model. Capitalism with a safety harness. Mixed economy. Most countries today run on a mixed economy. It's the most practical model. Markets exist, but the government steps in when needed. The United States, France, and India all follow this path. You see it every day. You shop at private stores, but roads, police, and schools are funded by the government. You can buy groceries in a free market, but also rely on Social Security or unemployment benefits if things go wrong. Mixed economies are flexible, which is why they dominate the modern world. They allow free choice, but provide a safety net when markets alone can't deliver. Capitalism. Finally, capitalism, the global heavyweight. In capitalism, resources and businesses are privately owned. Competition drives innovation, and prices are set by supply and demand. It's why you have dozens of cereal brands in a supermarket and a new smartphone model every year. Day-to-day capitalism gives you choice: where to work, what to buy, what business to start, but it also means inequality. Some people get rich, others struggle, and markets can crash, causing recessions. Still, capitalism has fueled enormous growth and remains the dominant system worldwide. From Amazon to Tesla, it's the system shaping how billions of us live. Each has strengths, each has weaknesses, and most countries today mix and match to suit their needs. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe for more clear explanations of big ideas.